Yes, exactly. So when we send out, we'll put together a line sheet that has, this is a 30% offer and everything that's eligible for that. And then when you submit the order, we'll talk about this in a little bit too, when you submit the order, you can request a discount on that PO. There's an order reason code that you have to key in. And if you communicate when you're submitting that to me and to Sheila, we'll be able to mirror that submission with the pricing action, so that should match in SAP. So. Yep. All right, so we're getting a couple slides ahead, guys. Season is at, okay, so that's a good question. Season listed up there is not a real filter for us. Season for new order is their like critical pieces of information that they have to have on every SKU, but we don't think in our product in the same way. So we don't have something that can feeds over to season. So we feed over 999 for that field, so you're not gonna get anything out of that filter. So we have product that is fall 19, spring 20, and fall 20, right? So it's very difficult to say what season that is. And that's how New Order wants it to work. So we don't engage with that level of information. So the last offered, if you go to fall, spring 20, or fall 19 or spring 20 or whatever, that's not gonna say that that is just the last season that is intended to be offered. So spring 19, or excuse me, spring 20 product will also potentially be offered in fall 19. So you can't look at this filter and see what is the catalog for fall 19, because we've moved some of the product that would have been in the fall 19 catalog, we've moved it forward each season as well. So this is just when does this product drop? That means that that product will no longer be offered at the end of fall 19. At the end of fall 19, it drops. Correct. Yes. So if you were to go forward product is not fall 19. Go forward product is now going to be fall 20. When we loaded fall 20 just now everything says fall 20. So in our next sales meeting, all of the carryover stuff will then be marked, we'll change it to be last offered spring 21. It'll be changed. It's already done. Right. I'll take you through it later if you need to. Okay, so we still haven't even finished the first slide. Perfect. So then we got ahead, so we did some extra credit on slide 5 maybe, so that's good. So really this is, we haven't gotten it out of New Order yet. This is just how you can filter the product at this point. Now if you want to see specifically how much inventory there is of this product, then you need to go a little bit further. And from here, once you have created the selection, when you hover over one of the product images, you'll see on the bottom left here, there's a, walk in front, I guess I won't. On that sweatshirt, right above the sweatshirt, there's that little box right there. When you click on that little box, that then selects that item. Once you've clicked on that box, you'll see on the very top of the screen, a bar appears that allows you to select all that fits that search criteria. So now when you select that, you will now have selected every single item that you have filtered. Even if it's not showing on the screen, you'll select everything that meets that search criteria. Then When you go over to the right of that bar where it says Actions, and then you see the 3 little dots, you click on that. You click on Export. When you click on Export, you'll choose the XLS order form. And one of the templates for the order form is an ATS with image or an ATS without image. So those are great because if you obviously want to show that to a customer and it has the pictures already on it, easy peasy. It will take a little bit longer for it to download because it's a bigger file. But if you're looking for UPCs, you just want to know the numbers, you're going to just kind of do some number crunching. You can do it without an image, and that makes it a little bit easier to manage once you download it. It goes a little bit faster, it's a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to work. Okay? So that's how you will get the report itself out of New Order. Now, the other way you can do it is you can go to a line sheet and download the information from there. So this one is if you wanted to go to the Fall 19 line sheet. Right now, this season, in season, including carryover product, including stuff that's about to drop, you just want to know what is available from this season that I can sell to my customer right now. You can go to the line sheet itself. So go in through line sheets, open it up, and at the very top, instead of saying export, it says download. Click on the download button, and then the rest of it is very similar. You'll choose XLS order form, give you the option to choose a template, and choose one of the 2 ATS templates, and it'll spit out that same document from the prior page. Any questions on specifically just downloading the sheet itself, the mechanics of downloading the sheet? Okay, now, once you get it spit out, it's going to have a fair amount of information. So I'm not going to go through super in-depth here, each of the pieces of information, but you'll have this as a resource to look up. But each one of these here will be a row or be a column of information. Some of the ones that might be very important to keep an eye on are sort of down towards the bottom where you get the warehouse and inventory date. Those columns can be just deleted right off the bat. Those can be deleted. The inventory volume, that what is actually available, actually shows up below the size. So when you export that file, and it's in small, italic, gray, dark gray letters, it's right under the size. But this has the UPCs, it has the material, the grid, anything you might need to use to communicate to customer service or to marketing or whatever, all of that will be available here. Yes? Yep, okay. Good question. So let me go back here real quick. So the answer is going to be how you get to that is going to take the same steps here. If you wanted to select a certain amount of product or go to a line sheet or maybe one of your custom lists or just on the 3 items they're asking for, you can do that from the filter. You can do it from a line sheet and instead go all the way through the same thing, but instead of choosing the ATS with image, one of the order templates is called Ecom Style Master. And within the Ecom Style Master, features and benefits is listed as one of the pieces that will be exported from that.
So the only question on that is when you go to the features and benefits, maybe for advertising and marketing, it gives the content of the product, but it doesn't get into the details of like water resistant.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It has both. It has both. One of them it's called, I think it's called description is the field that will give you, within that field, it'll give you all of the marketing bullets that is available for that. So if it qualifies for water resist, it'll be there. If it's wicking, it'll be there. If it whatever that is. Another field is fabric content. That's further off to the right. It has both of that. It'll have country of origin. It'll have the number of pockets. It'll have the number of buttons. Yeah. Which is why we have attempted to have that done now. I know that we have a couple that are missing, but that is we owe that to you right now, and most of that should be out there. If it won't be, it will be very shortly. Coming soon to a line sheet near you. What's that? It should be. mean, I didn't check to see today if that's in there. I know that that's part of the. Mhm. Those all were part of the Style Master requests that we sent through to PD. Those all should be flowing through. If they're not, let us know and we'll drag it down. Yep. No. Okay. That one will need to go through Amanda and Marta. So we used to have the order split by DC. I'm not entirely sure why that was causing more problems than good, but customer service needs to, or not customer, Amanda and Marta need to weigh in on that. So have that question directly with them. The problem is that where we intend to have it shipped through today may not be where it ships through in 9 months when it gets here. So understood. We can certainly follow up, but I don't have that in new order. Okay. So again, this is the information. You can use this as a resource later for what each of the columns mean. One thing I do want to point out here, and one of the most important and helpful pieces of information that New Order uses that I want you guys to get comfortable with is called brand ID. Brand ID is the combination of the style, the attribute, and the color code all together. And what is really cool about that is that if you use that field, you can, if you have a list of products, either from an ATS report, or from a selling report that Andrew provides, or from from your account where they have maybe they're set up, or they tell you that they're interested in finding some more of this, that, or the other thing, you can use that, select that in Excel, just copy it, and paste it right into New Order, and you can then return a search field for all of those, up to 250 at a time. And then you can do your export of a line sheet, your export of an ATS report. You can create your own custom list that you can track that throughout the season. Brand ID is an extremely helpful field. It's critical that you guys sort of understand how that works. I can help you with that on a more individual basis if you need to, but brand ID is very important. When you are in the orders tab, you can import one of the order XLS order form that we downloaded. This can be used then to re-upload into the order and put your quantity there, so you don't have to manually key in each one. Yeah, oh yeah. Okay. So the ATS template is a bit unwieldy. I am working continuously with New Order on their team to develop a more usable, more user-friendly ATS template, but I have put a couple tips here that I think make it a little bit easier to use. So for when I will download something and I'm going to manipulate it either for a report or to send it to someone, I will actually take that volume that's below the size and put it up into the units column. So then it puts the units in the same row as everything else. Okay? I'll kind of go through and copy that all as values, and then I'll delete all of those intermediate rows. And you can do that. When you download it, it already has a filter at the top of it. So you can filter on a style, you can filter on a color. But if you use that filter on one of the warehouse or date columns, that actually only has data in the blank rows. So then you can select all of those and delete them all in one fell swoop. Again, I can show you how to do that if you're interested. Critical. The other one is then you have to go through on the numbers, change those to values so that they add up right. And then sometimes I'll drop a pivot table on top of that. Ultimately, it takes me maximum of 10 minutes worth of just kind of working on it or touching it before it becomes very consumer friendly. Downloading it immediately straight out of New Order is not exactly customer friendly. Some customers may be more friendly with it than others. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to turn it into something that is very digestible. So I can help you, again, on a more specific basis on going through those steps. It doesn't take very long. If you're doing it 20, 30 times a week, then maybe that adds up. But if you do it on a Monday and you have it for the rest of the week, it'll get you pretty close. Okay, now that you've gotten your ATS report, you've sent it to your customer, they're thrilled, they want to buy everything that we have. how do you then go through and write an ATS order? Of course. Mhm. Yes. So they have a filter built into when you're exporting an ATS report that will hide inventory with broken sizes. Problem is, if it has one missing size in the entire offering, it will consider it broken. So some of our products we offer extra small through 3X. If we don't have any units in extra small, it considers it broken and won't show it. We may have a great size run between small and extra large, but anyway, so I have had a call. It was a couple weeks ago with their head of development and walked them through what I would consider a smarter way of doing it. It's a much more complex formula, but again, so they're going to look at trying to evaluate that, looking at making sure that you have a contiguous size run as one thing, and base it on ratios so that you have a certain percentage of the offer is in small, medium, larges, et cetera, too. So that's coming. That's not an ideal way. It's one of those things where you can look at the size run and tell you if it's broken or not, but telling a computer to do that same thing is a little bit tricky. So once you've downloaded it, you can select those sizes and then delete those rows, but you want to do it before it spits it out. Yeah, we're working on it. It's not there yet. That requires them to build it for us, though. Okay. So a couple things to keep in mind when you're writing an ATS order. A lot of you guys have been through all three of these tabs before, but I'm just going to highlight some of the things that are specific to an ATS order or to a discounted ATS order. So there's three tabs on the order form. The first tab is the order details tab. I'm going to remind you every chance I get that you need to have a unique customer PO number per customer for all time. So if your customer puts in spring, January forecast, well, the next January that you come through and you try to use January forecast again, it will fail, it will not work, it'll get stuck in the IDOC handler, and you may not be able to get that transmitted. So you need to make sure that this is unique for all time. You need to future-proof that. The other one that you need to keep a pretty close eye on is the HBI order type. This is where you can choose between a contract, an at-once order, or a contract call-off. Okay, so on ATS orders, you're going to be selecting the at-once order. The only time that you won't is if you're an EDI account, and your EDI account is going to be submitting this order in 2 or 3 days, and you want to make sure you reserve the inventory. You can put in a contract for that ATS inventory and communicate with your customer service rep that when the EDI comes through, it's supposed to decrement this contract. Okay? And then finally, if there is a discount offered on this, if this was one of the programs that we sent out and we're offering a 30, 40, whatever % discount on here, this is the screen where you will be able to put that discount % in, and then you will also need to use the order reason code. It's a drop-down menu, and you're going to choose order reason 300. Most of you guys have been through that the last round that we did it. Again, it's just a reminder. The next tab is the product tab. This is where you can choose when the product is you want the delivery. This is your delivery date range, your start and your cancel. So on the right-hand side is where it says select delivery. If you choose immediate, that will default to the immediate ship window, which is usually today through the end of this month. You will also see below the little size bar that's in there, it'll re-show you how much inventory is available for that size. If you happen to select more than what is available, it will show in red. And so that will help you visually identify where you're over-ordering some of those options.
So during this ATS, the last one that we did,
Yes.
accounts are going in, placing their own orders.
Yep.
I go in to put in the reason code.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I open that order up,
Yep.
all my allocation goes away.
So,
It still happens now, so I don't want to go into it. I'm just moving them to pending.
right. If you are able to open that order, Okay, so the question was is that she was finding that when she opens a buyer submitted order, brings it into her cart, that she's losing inventory off of that order. So as far as my understanding goes, we had a conversation with New Order because I had a couple people mention this. I had a conversation with New Order yesterday. They are looking into it. That should not happen. I think the only time where that could happen is where if the buyer submitted it yesterday and you look at it today, New Order will manage the inventory between our inventory uploads. So if I upload this morning, I'm getting into the weeds here, guys, sorry. If I upload the inventory to 100 pieces this morning, New Order will, for the rest of the day, keep track of who gets that 100 pieces. If I then upload tomorrow and say that I only have 25 pieces, and then you bring that order back into the cart, it's not going to be working off of 100 pieces anymore. It's going to now be working off of 25 pieces. Same day. You brought it into the cart the same day that they brought it in. That should not happen. I have them looking into it to see why that happened. Yeah. Okay. If you have an order number that you see that happens, send it over to me immediately, and we can have that look at them, because that was the first thing I asked is like, show me the order where that happened, and I was like, I don't have one. So, okay. Shouldn't happen. If it continues to happen, that's an issue we need to have resolved. Okay, and then finally, this is the order review tab here. This is where if for some reason you have put in an order where the dates are different, it will split the PO by dates. If that happens, as a reminder, you need to put in a unique customer PO number for each one of the splits as well. Otherwise, one will book and the second, third, or however many there are after the split will get stuck in the error handler. All right, and then, so if you can see there's this kind of bar that comes across, you'll see I only have one item in the sample order here, but if you were to like scroll down, there'll be a whole other row right below that. So you'll see that actually on the bottom where it says deliveries, you can see that number will go to 2 or 3. But similarly, as you're looking at it, you'll see, there's this one bar where it says my item, and then on the right it says customer PO number, and then you see a little scroll bar that goes below it, right below it with the subtotal too. There'll be a whole other one right below it. It'll split there. Yes. The first one you can put the PO number, and if it splits, then it will duplicate that PO number. Correct. All right, so wanted to go through a couple reminders again, both for the process and some things that commonly happen that trip people up when submitting orders through New Order. First 3 things I want to review with you are the order statuses, because this is all very important. The first one is review. If an order is in the review status, that means it was submitted by a buyer and is in your queue to evaluate. You need to do something. That will not be seen unless the sales rep does something. The buyer submits an order to you. You then need to take that order and submit it to Leslie. So review is an order that is submitted to you and is in your queue. Pending is an order that you have submitted. Okay, so once you have received the review order, you confirm that it's going to the right place, everything is exactly how you want it to be. When you advance it, you will advance it from review into pending. If you write an order from scratch and press submit, it goes into the pending status. Okay? This is important because if something changes, if we drop something, you decide you want more or less or a different color, or we communicate that this isn't exactly what you ordered the wrong SKU, or we screwed up on the color code, or whatever it is, you need to edit that order. If it's in pending, you can still edit the order in New Order. All right? Then, once you click submit, it stays in pending. That lands on Leslie or Donna's desk. Okay? That's when they will either aggregate it for a forecast deadline, or they will approve it if it's an immediate order. But if it's in pending, that means it's on their desk. Once they approve it, they advance it to the next step. It goes to processed, which means that has been synced over to SAP. Once it has been synced over to SAP, you can no longer edit that order in new order. We can't either, nobody can. Any changes or adjustments to that order, once it's in the processed step, needs to be dealt with customer service. It's in their hands now. Okay? Any questions on the statuses?
So when you say that customer service at that point, if they go through changes with SAP and doesn't need to do anything in the order, they can't. Is that how that works?
If any changes are needed to the PO, it has to happen with customer service at that point, correct? Nothing can be changed in new order. Often what may have to happen is that we cancel off the order in entirety and have to rewrite it in new order as a fresh order. Depends on what change is needed. If it's a date change, that could be done in SAP. If it's truly changing the items or whatever, that sometimes may need to go back in. You can give them both. The customer PO number is specifically what they'll be looking at. The customer PO number is what gets fed to SAP as the new PO number. There is a reference on there that they can use to confirm with the new order number, but it's the customer PO number that is the critical piece there. Yes. It can't be more than 25 characters, so thank you for bringing that up. The customer PO number cannot be more than 24. We will only transmit over 25 characters. So you can, to SAP. So if you happen to have a 40-character PO number, we're only going to send over the first 25. So if that happens to split and you put a -1 at the end of that, the -1, the difference, the uniqueness won't be passed over. So best practice is keep it under 25 characters. Put in some. Fair. Yeah. Don't use special characters. Stick with letters, numbers, and spaces. No apostrophes. Okay. Say it again. Right. So if the difference is cut off, it won't know that it's different yet. That's what I'm saying. Okay. An at-once order needs to be requested for within 60 days. So when you submit an order for immediate and it is scheduled to ship 3 months from now, it won't even be evaluated. We don't look at once orders past the 60-day window. They're not at once, essentially, right, correct. So they'll sit in new order, and then and then they'll be, right, but very likely that inventory that they're requesting is no longer the same. Correct. It didn't go anywhere. No, it'll be a new order. It won't be an SAP. Absolutely, yes. Correct. So at-once orders are at-once. Okay? Draft orders are not reviewed at all. We don't go into anyone's draft orders. We don't look at that unless you have specifically asked us to. And there are occasions where that would happen. But if, unless you have otherwise communicated with Leslie that, hey, this is a draft order that for whatever reason it's not letting me submit, I can't submit it. So in that case, Leslie is the only one that is able to advance that. Otherwise, if you're putting it in a draft, it's your scratch paper. That's what a draft order is. So if you're working on it and you want to, go for a run and you're not finished yet, you save it as a draft. We're not going to do anything with that draft. So apologies, because our very first season, we asked you to submit everything to draft. So that was just our first attempt at it. That was for different reasons. From now on, drafts are drafts. They are not submitted unless you've otherwise communicated with Leslie. Do not use one account as a placeholder for another account that is not yet set up. We had this happen where we were in the process of the credit. We were a couple days away from approving and getting a customer with a customer PO or a customer SAP customer number. And in the meantime, to secure the inventory, they used a different account to reserve that inventory. We ended up shipping it to the wrong account. So dangerous. Please don't do that. If that happens and you are desperate to hold inventory, communicate with Leslie. We can use one of the HBI accounts to do that and not have to worry about shipping it. But please communicate with us if that's the need. Yes.
If you get a new account and they're not open by 12/4, not set up, they can't book their fall 20.
Don't book it under a different account number.
No, but in general, they can't. Is there a way, can't use draft?
That's a question for your manager. I don't know how to. I don't know how we would handle that. But again, we're not going to be looking at drafts. Understood. I hear you, but we're not going to pass that over. We have ways that we can manage it with proper communication and preparation. Okay. And then the last bullet is also is kind of ironic. This one should be the first thing that you do when you look into new order, but it's the last bullet here. So as you go into new order, remember we have segmentation. There is product that your customer is not allowed to buy. So as you're looking at a new order and you're shopping with a given account's perspective, if you're going in and shopping for models, the first thing you should do is at the very top of the new order page, there's a little eyeball. Click on that eyeball, choose the account that you're shopping for, and it will automatically hide all the product that they're not allowed to see. That includes if you were to then download a line sheet, if you were then to download ATS, it will hide it from the line sheet, it will hide it from everything else. If you don't do that eyeball and you download a line sheet, you will download the line sheet for everybody. You'll download all of the product on that line sheet and potentially forward that on. When they go to write the order, you'll find out that some of that product was not allowed for them, and then you're stuck in that position where you've offered and then have to take it back, right? So use the eyeball first. Then you can export a line sheet, and it will not send over anything.
So all of a sudden now, 12/20
Yeah.
is showing up on new order.
Yep.
Customers going in and looking at it.
Yep.
All right, are they looking at it with a jaundiced eye? In other words,
No, the segmentation is in place for that product. So when your customer logs in,
they're allowed to.
correct, when your customer logs in, they will never see anything that they're not allowed to see. But if you were to export a PDF without that filter, then you could be bringing in product that they are not allowed to see. Or if you were to do an ATS report without that filter, then they're not allowed to order. So before you do that, you choose the eyeball, look through it with their lens, and then export the ATS or the line sheet. Okay?
Question before you almost touch on it. When you're pulling the ATS stuff like you showed us, do you still go into the eye and put your account in first before you're pulling ATS?
Yes.
If you're generally pulling ATS, you're going to get stuff your account may not be in.
Correct. Correct. And you can, depending on how quickly and how savvy and how much you like to do this, you can do it both ways. You can sort of prospectively look through ATS, find out where some big buckets are, and get yourself thinking about, hey, this account would like this and that account would like that. But then when you're like ready to send it, download it with their filter on so that you can save yourself from that problem. Yes, sir. So the new order will split their orders based on date. So if they put in 10 items and want it on 3 different months, new order will split that into 3 different POs. you still have to go in and change the PO number. So when you submit the order, it will split, but it will also give you the opportunity on the order's review. I don't know. It does for the new order PO number. It does not change that for the customer PO number. Correct. That is correct. Correct. It won't alert you that there's an issue. Okay, I can pass that along. That's the new order needs to rewrite their platform for that. Yeah. Now, correct. Now, New Orders has told me that they try to keep it very simple for buyers, and they will make it so that they want as little friction as possible on the order tab. So if they have defaulted to making it easier as opposed to more accurate. So, understood? I'll pass it along. Understood? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I'll let them. I'll see what we can do with that. No doubt. Yep. Okay. All right. Now that you have done all this and you want to print it and put it onto paper and bring it to your account, we still have our account. We still have this set up with Staples. So I want to take you one more time through this. It may be 6 months since the last time any of you guys have done this. I know I had to refresh my memory on how to do this as well. So the first thing that you want to do is after you've created a PDF or whatever you want to print for your account. So create the PDF first. Use the eyeball, export your PDF, save it on your desktop. You now have a file that you want to print. Log into staplesadvantage.com. Yes, sir. That was before. Yes, of course. Staplesadvantage.com, up at the top right, you'll have a login button, just like on most other sites. There's the login at the top right. When you click on login, it will prompt you with this, this screen right here. If you still use your same browser and you have things remembered and pre-populated, it may pre-populate the account number. If not, it's listed here and will be when I send this out to you guys. Your user ID, for me, was pre-populated, and there it was. My password, thankfully, was one of my standard passwords, so I was able to log in. If you are not, and you have some troubles, obviously you can use the, the forgot your user number, et cetera. You can use all the keys. How much fun you have remembering all of your old passwords. You can go through all that. I did also ask our rep to send me a list of all of the logins just to confirm who has logged in the past so that I can remind you of your login ID. I'll send that out to you as well. If you're a new user and haven't used this before, reach out to me and we can get you set up. Okay? Next, the next thing that it will do, it will prompt you to change the ship to location. This might be confusing because we're not shipping. In their system, ship to is like the billing account, right? So it's really like a sold to. So in this, you're going to go to on the bottom where it says change. It may pre-populate with our corporate address right here, just as the Hanes Brands Inc. You're going to go to change and change it to the Champion CMG. Click select and then confirm. That will make it route back to the correct accounting units, and we pay for it as needed. Okay. Once you have done that, it will land you on this kind of like just a regular menu screen. Up on sort of like the top towards the middle, you'll see this little products pull down. When you pull that down, you've got print and marketing as one of the options here. Oddly enough, you have to double click on that. So that's the only place on the internet where you have to double click. So double click on print and marketing. Then it brings up this screen right here. You're going to choose the middle option, which is bound materials and presentations. This is where you're going to change it from delivery to pick up in store. And then once you've chosen those 2 items, you can click on Get Started. Okay? Next, you'll use the store locator, put in your zip code. It'll bring up the closest Staples Print Center that you can find. I understand that there are some that do not have a Staples anywhere near you guys. Unfortunately, this won't work for you. But for most of us, we're relatively close to a Staples, a couple miles away, so you can use this to be able to pick it up in store. Select your store, give it this project a name. This is where you're going to then choose to upload your documents, and then you preview and move to the next screen. So if you wanted to upload 2 or 3 line sheets, you can do that here under the upload, the add document side. Once you've done that, it gives you the option to change the settings. This button right here will bring up, change settings will bring up all of the finishing options that you have over on the right. This is where you can choose to bind it, put a cover on it, spiral bind it, whatever you need to do to give to your accounts. Okay. On the last screen, on the second to last screen rather, this is where you're going to choose when you're going to pick it up, how many pieces you want of each file that you've uploaded, and then you'll add it to the cart. Okay. Once you add it to the cart, it's just like any other e-commerce transaction. You pay for it. It goes to our invoicing, and you're done. It's pretty straightforward. It steps you along pretty easily once you get past the login.
I had issues with the Staples things.
Okay.
Export. I was using Edge. The lady I talked to said she was having issues with Chrome.
Okay.
So I had to open up Internet Explorer. So if you have issues with this, change your browser. Go to Chrome or go to Internet Explorer and use Edge.
Yeah, it works. It worked fine for me yesterday using Chrome.
It worked fine for me when I went to Chrome.
Right. Okay. The internet can be finicky, indeed. Any questions? Any more questions, I should say?
I have one.
Sure.
Back to ATS.
Back to ATS.
Can you explain the process of, I know where, when we move it over to process from review, when it gets over to Champion, explain that. Like, I email my CSR.
Yep.
Time I have a ATS that goes through, Nita, DC ATS, can you allocate and release?
Yep.
What actually happens? Like, is
Magic.
like that? Sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
So,
That's magic.
so are the CSRs looking, do they have a place to go to look for these ATSs?
No. So when we approve it, it will be automatically uploaded and sent into SAP. It is written. Theoretically, customer service doesn't have to do anything to it. Once it's in there, the allocation rules will allocate the goods immediately, or will automatically, I don't know if it's immediate or not, but the allocation will run. If the ship date comes, it will deliver to the DC. In theory, nothing has to be touched. Where it's helpful to reach out to your customer service is to confirm that they see it in SAP, because sometimes it will get stuck and it will get into an error handler. We are supposed to be checking the error handler every so often, so you may get an email responding back to you from someone saying, hey, this one ended up in the error handler, you need to fix X, Y, or Z. Okay. Leslie, I welcome your input.
So what does that mean, approved? What needs to be approved?
We hit the button. That's approving it. She'll take all of the, because it doesn't happen automatically, so she will use the filter of when the order was created and when it needs to ship, and that's the 60-day window. Anything that it was created today and needs to ship within 60 days, she brings up as a filter. She selects all of them and approves them. Approving the moves over. It's, if it was created today and needs to ship within 60 days, that's, yes. there's no filter for immediate. So to be able to get there, she proxies that by using the logic of, yes. Leftovers. Yep.
And then what's the normal time for allocation?
She takes, so when you click it, when you move it over, she does it in the morning and the afternoon. And once she approves them, it takes approximately 6 minutes, I'm told. No, to be sent over to SAP. Leslie, do you know how long, does anyone know how long it takes to, is that the next morning? I think it's something like that, yes. Okay, so there are certain periods through the day where they go through all the POs and do the allocation run. I think it's first thing in the morning and
Yeah, it's not really happening. I had to ask my CSR to request allocation for I'm gonna say 80% of my orders. Well, they're there,
I don't know.
they have to be there, right? If they get some order.
you're,
I guess that's the key question. So if we replaced the count for 500 units that were there, and then they're not getting any of them, or maybe they only get 50 to 500, question is why?
that could be several different reasons. It could be that from the period of time that the inventory is interfaced over to new order to the time that it gets over to SAP, those inventories were purchased by an EDI order, potentially. Those could have been purchased by an STO, a stock transfer order, so our outlets could have taken it, so they could have just taken it that day. It doesn't happen very often. I mean, it seems like it happens a lot to you guys, but for the most, I know, I hear you.
Like, it's definitely getting to the point where guys are like, why am I placing orders on ATS? Because I'm not
Okay.
getting.
Okay, so we'll need to look into that as a process in general, because if it's happening on a regular basis that you guys see units today and submit the order, everything goes through and you don't get them in SAP, then that's a problem. Okay, we'll look into it. That happens, yes. So the other thing to keep, yes, it's a very dynamic picture. And if you recall, we used to publish this weekly. So all of that noise that happens from within a week was somewhat sheltered when we do it published weekly. So when you're seeing it daily, there are a lot of changes to allocations within a day. We scrub orders. We, look for orders. We reach out to our internal partners. They write contracts. Sometimes they get canceled. That we use them for different orders. I mean, there is a lot of movement from day to day on inventory. That's real. That shouldn't happen, though. If we have it as ATS, you write the order, you book it over. It shouldn't happen in the quantity and the frequency that it sounds like it's happening. So we need to look at that.
SAP and new orders sync,
Every day.
but just
Once a day, yes. But new order keeps track of the inventory that they're allocating, and so there is the potential that those become a little bit out of phase.
it's not just new orders they're taking, EDI
Correct.
orders
Transfer orders, yes. We expect there to be a certain percentage of orders that are affected by that. It sounds like it's a higher percentage than what we would have expected, so we'll have to look into it. ZN does not come into play on anything written from new order. If you write it from new order and send it over to SAP, it never gets put onto ZN. If you write it from EDI directly, right. Yep. The contract shouldn't be. The EDI may come in. Well, the EDI, if the EDI order finds the contract one for one, it should clear it automatically. It should find it automatically. If it matches the dates and the timing, the dates and the units exactly one for one, we should find that automatically and no one should have to touch it. Right. Am I saying the right thing though? It should? So Brent, Leslie needs to sneak in between us. Leslie needs to sneak in between us and have a quick chat. The inventory, product updates, et cetera, sync over every morning. New order will sync over multiple times a day when we write an order, an approval order, and sends it over to SAP. It sends it over to SAP within 6 minutes of us hitting approve. So that can happen many, many times a day. New order back to, or excuse me, SAP back to new order happens once a day, usually in the morning. All right, so I know that you guys have a lot more questions. I know that there are a lot more hiccups along the road. One of the things that I want to sort of congratulate you guys for and thank you guys for is, you know, this new order process has not been a very HBI way of doing things, right? HBI way of doing things has always been traditionally, let's get it exactly perfect. Let's take as long as we need to understand every little thing. And then, all right, someone has a concern, we delay it another couple months, and it just kind of rolls, right? Well, with New Order, what we did is the opposite. We just jumped right into it, and we figured it out as we went, which to me, I think is a much more difficult, but it's also the way that you have to do things. It's a much more entrepreneurial spirit. So for everyone in here that has helped in that process of jumping into it and helping us figure it out as we go, I appreciate you guys. You know, every single one of you guys has reached out with, hey, this doesn't work. We go out, we take a look at it, we understand it, we fix it, and we've moved the needle. So to have every single one of you guys in there working it, helping push the needle forward and keep us moving the ball, thank you. For your patience as well, thank you. And understand that you've got everyone else in this room helping you guys out and making sure that this is a successful tool to continue to get us to the next level. With all of the problems and all of the hiccups that we have, it still feels like we've moved light years ahead in our ability to understand where our product is, to be able to communicate information, to be able to take orders, to be able to show people product, right? So, you know, keep an eye on the progress that we've made. Continue to help us identify and spot problems. You know, if you hear, you know, if you're having one problem and it feels like it's just you, still reach out. Let us know. Maybe I've heard it from somebody else and we have to reach out. New Order is an incredible partner. They are extremely responsive. I have direct conversations with some of their top engineers to be able to work on their platform, to be able to make changes. They've already done several things to rewrite their entire platform for our benefit. So, and they'll continue to do some of that stuff. So, everyone, thank you for helping us move that along. Next person I need to bring up is Leslie. Leslie has a couple pieces. You're not talking about option confirms? I thought you were. So we talked about this yesterday, no? Okay. Leslie is not doing it. Leslie is not going to be talking to you next. Okay, Brent, then that means you're up.
Yeah, just 2 minutes.
Awesome. Great discussion. Thank you, Troy. And thank you, Adam, for taking the lead on New Order. There's so much to it, and you've freed the rest of us up to stay focused on product and selling. So thanks a ton for all the details. Does anybody want a map sheet for athletics that did not get one? Okay, cool. There's, I don't know if Brian has do you guys have a map? Okay, cool. So this is athletic specific. Just wanted to quick talk through some of the changes to our pricing and map as we go into fall 20. It's super important for us as a company as well as for our accounts that we're out there at the right price. And with Power Blend in specific, managing that, it's long term. We're not going to reinvent Power Blend in the next couple of years. We want this to live on for a long, long time. So being proactive and really protecting its place in the market is super important. So our pricing objectives as we looked into fall 20, obviously improve our own margins because it's such a huge program and cover the cost increases as well, just to make sure we're doing what we need to do responsibly to grow our business. Continue to strengthen AURs. As I showed yesterday, or spoke about yesterday, not only have we been increasing unit volume, but our AURs have been going up at the same time. So that is our actual POS. So customers are responding. If you remember, we did a pretty significant price increase going into spring 19 a year and a half ago, and it did not slow anything down at all. So again, I have no concerns going into fall 20. And then being able to have a consistent map message in the market. That's something we heard consistently from you guys and your accounts when we had it out there at a style level and it was a little mishmash and mixed up. So being able to just have a brand-wide message, we really wanted to make a priority. So as you can see here, changes in pricing on all fleece, core and graphic fleece. It's a 50-cent increase to wholesale. And a 25 increase on core and graphic jersey. These are already, as you guys know, some of these have IMUs over 70%. So a lot of this can already be absorbed in the strong margins we're giving to our accounts. And then on graphics, on both, it's a $5 increase. So we've kind of known for a little while this might be the right thing to do, and we believe now the time is right. So a core tee will still be $20. The graphic tee will be $25. Core crew is $40. Graphic crew is $45. And then you add an applique onto that for another $5, and it really creates a logical price structure for the line. And then getting into map is where not only do we benefit from the simplicity of the message, but it's going to help continue to strengthen our AURs as well as give a strong brand presentation in the market. So everything in the line will have an everyday value of 25%, and then we'll have basically monthly these holiday event pricing opportunities. So what we're calling HEV, a holiday event, where they'll have a 40 off opportunity, and then LPS, lowest price of the season, 50 off on everything in the line. So those are Cyber Monday, Black Friday, Prime Day, that's a new one for us. So those will be the opportunities where we can really make sure we're continuing to drive that strong volume.
Brent, on the core section,
Yeah,
they were 40 and 50.
they were, correct.
That goes away?
That goes away. Yep. Remember, the reminder is, like I put up here, this is advertisements and online. In store, we can't tell anybody what they can or cannot sell our product for. So this is in store. If they need to continue to run it every day, 40 off, that's up to that account. We don't think they need to. And they've been seeing over the last couple seasons that they can continue to elevate the AURs and drive the volume. There's enough demand to push that. Other questions? I was expecting, bullets and won't ask for it. Okay, cool. One. Yep. So that's a big deal. Thanks. Awesome. And it frees us up, the elevated pricing on graphics also frees us up to do some of the more elevated ink techniques, or maybe even multiple placements going into future season without having to mess with things and create multiple prices for that as well. So, good. All right. So the other thing we need to quick talk about with Burn here is the price exception process and the trade spend up front. So what we're going to do, can we switch over to that Excel sheet? First of all, I want to push. It's my favorite topic. No, no. The more we can move, no price, no price exceptions, or the more we can move to even account level discounting. It's a lot easier on the setup. It's a lot easier on the front end to make sure everything is set up in our system correctly. But for those accounts who really still need to push for a price by style, this is the meets comp form. And what we're going to do differently this time is we're going to do it right up front before we even get the order. So when before the order even drops into the system, we need to have this back. It needs to go to Rob and Anna, be approved. They'll send it to me, and then I'll put it in a bucket for EDM to load it. For Burn, Sheila, for the process. Go ahead. Did you want to?
I just want to mention one thing to you guys. No. I love each and every one of you, as you very well know, because I've been hanging out with you guys for a while now. But one of the things I want to reiterate is the fact that pricing is seasonal. You know, we set it up for the season, and everyone talked about, Adam stood up here and talked about new order and how great it is, and then Marion pushed for inventory. But guess what happens? When it's time for it to ship, it all falls into Sheila's bucket because we're in pricing error. And you get many phone calls and many emails saying, oh my gosh, you can't ship it. So we're calling you, emailing you. One of the things we want to do this season is rather than wait until all the orders are in, we get in the price exception. She's trying to process them. We get them back to the customer service reps. They have to go in and price each order in order for your items to ship. And that's just taking way too much time. And it's just a lot of errors. So what we'd like to do is ask that Britt's already set up the price exception form to where you can key in your style, and it should roll up the gross wholesale. And then you will in turn enter your approved deductions or discounts. Get them to your sales lead, Rob. Anna's not here today, but get them to your sales lead because we have to have approval. We will not load a discount without the approvals, okay? But if we can get them up front, Leslie, you were just saying, hey, I'm working on mine now. Before you go in and put in the order, you know what your discount's gonna be. So we should have it up front. So that's kind of what I want to reiterate. And if you have any questions about the process, just give us a call, okay?
I was gonna say, can you tell us the process both ways? Like, there's the customer that just make whatever gets a flat 10. What are we sales supposed to do? Like, if I go to Ann and say, this is customer AYZ, gets a 10%. Does that have to be done twice a year for fall and spring? Because as a salesperson, we set them up for the year.
If you set them up for a year, and if Anna, you say Anna is your sales lead or Rob's your sales lead, if you let them know, what we'll do is that we can go ahead and set that up if it's been approved by them for the year.
Okay.
It's just when we get into the individual styles, that's when you start running into the dollars and making sure your trade dollars are calculated properly.
So there is internally, if that account is set up for a flat discount, 'cause that makes everyone's life easier.
Oh, yes, it does make it.
We shouldn't have, hey, this, because like, say, we had customers doing that, and it used to be line when we did them a flat discount, but they did an ATS order, and they came back in here pricing, I'm like, well, they're on a flat discount.
Yeah, but ATS and seasonal discount is totally different. Yeah. ATS discount is negotiated and approved based on, I guess, the business unit, and I think you guys work with Adam. I'm talking about seasonal pricing. Seasonal pricing needs to be approved. If you have a 10%
Well, hold on, so I do think if you have an account that gets 10% off on everything, you can set that up with finance, not with marketing. Set that up with, I know, so then, even if it's not a forecasted item, they go into ATS and buy something that they've never bought before, at, wholesale, they only want the 10% off, that discount should apply to anything that they buy, regardless of if it was forecasted or not.
So let's go back when you said I set up finance, I'm just going through Anna's my contact, she's my director of sales, correct?
Right.
I guess I'm just trying to understand the process, because all I know is that, okay, customer's been approved for 10% discount. Hey, we need to go sell them more stuff, we have this goods in the barn, so we go to the ATS report, we're trying to push sales, and I'm saying it's wholesale pricing, that you get 10%,
So
but then it gets
the
held up.
difference is if you set that up with the account, if you set that up with the discount at the account level via your sales manager and through finance, then yes, anything that you sell to them will go through and get a 10% discount. If you set it up with the price exception and everything at 10% discount, then we've only put that product in at a 10% discount. So any new product that wasn't on that original list will not have a discount set up.
Yeah, and that's how it should, if we're gonna, if the account gets a straight 10% discount, the styles that they buy have to put on a price exception sheet at 10%, because there's no way to control, if you just say a straight 10%, they could go buy something, 10,000 pieces of something that, I mean, part of this price exception is budgeting what your spend is gonna be.
That's
If
why,
we can't control that, I mean, it's like, if you're just saying straight 10%, so if your account's getting a 10, 20% discount, those styles need to be listed on the price exception sheet, because as a manager, I wanna, if they're gonna buy something else at 20%, I wanna know what they're buying at 20%.
so if that's the
That's a good
case,
point.
and that's why we're putting the ownership on the sales lead. If that's the case, because we do have some accounts set up at a standard percentage off, right? But they'll have to work with the sales lead from the financial side to make sure, if you only have $1 million in your budget, that you're not going in and putting in $2 million in discounts. I get what you're saying. So if that's the case, we need to be able to manage that.
So with the price exception forms, you're saying we have to have these in before their orders are sent in? Because with the timing of when our order due dates, like sometimes we might know what they're gonna order just a couple days before they're transmitting their orders.
Yeah, what we mean is just we want it right up front.
Right, so Brett, you supplied the contract pricing to us. So you were able somehow to go in and show what they transmitted. Is there a way of you sending that to each salesperson based on their orders?
That's what we've been doing, and it's a very laborious project
So
to try to
is-
pull it out and send it to you and then make
Is there-
sense of it.
Right, is there any way that the salesperson can go into the account and look at the styles and say, because you might have agreed to, I'm just gonna have a t-shirt at $450, and they transmit $425, they're wrong. So is there any way we can see what they transmitted on their contracts?
Well, what we've been doing with Nordstrom and the Rack is we've been asking them, because it's not easy, we've been asking each buying team to send us a list by style of what they have in their system, and we're syncing it up to what we have in our system. It's laborious, but that's what we've been doing, because there isn't an easy way to,
So
we
is
don't
there
even
a
have
way to go and
visibility
look
of
at
it.
the contracts?
We can ask, I can get with the EM pricing team, because they have access to be able to go in, and maybe they can pull it by contract.
Right, because if we get it before they split the contract,
That's what,
you don't see it.
see, that's
then
what
it
we're
clears.
trying, that's where
Yeah.
we're trying to
Yes.
go. But if the account is sitting in the contract at a price that's not been agreed upon, I don't wanna put it in.
No, but we'll clean it up at that point
Well,
too.
that's, okay, well, that's fine, we can do that.
But we need to know that. So we may
See, the problem is
agree
we
to a
don't
price,
know
they
until it's
EDI
approved.
it,
Right.
we don't
We
know
don't
until
know
they
until
split it,
it
because
hits
we can't
Sheila
see the
desk.
contract.
So my question to you is, okay, so my question to you is this, that when would you want us to do that?
Well, we have a booking deadline. So
Okay.
once the booking deadline's done, the order found is shut off.
Yeah.
So at that point,
We
you
can
should be able to
reconcile.
go in and look at that, because the
Well,
order's gotta
that,
be
but we're
here.
talking the same, we're speaking the same
Yeah.
language,
Yeah.
because that's what I would like to do as
No
well.
problem at
is
all.
to be- Okay,
Once
so.
you shut it down.
So what Rob is saying, make sure I'm saying this correctly, what Rob is suggesting is that at the time in which you submit your contracts, before we push the button to go over into orders, right?
Yes.
That we ask or request a report contracts and the customer expected price on those contracts.
What they transmit.
Well,
What
it's
they
not just
transmit.
contracts though. We would need to see everything. Because some people are EDI and shippable orders.
Right,
But
and
you
that's,
So we would need to
and
see
guess
everything,
what?
right?
Contract,
Yeah,
contract,
yeah,
release
okay.
orders. Just things for fall
Yes,
2020.
time period.
So what I'm saying to you is that at the time for EDI orders, when they come in, at that point, they're already in pricing error. It's not, it's no longer, it's a real order.
Yeah, but we're not getting them until, like, the ship window. So,
You're not gonna be able to set it
But
up
then that's
before
split
then.
on it. It's not, it's a
Just the
contract,
time
not
window
a
is too
contract
tight.
release.
Mm-hmm.
My customer service, they can't tell me there's a price in there until it gets closer to shipping. The contract doesn't tell me the price,
Yeah, we
so
can,
she
we
doesn't
can
know
see it.
until
We can see it. Let's do this, let's do
Hold
this.
up.
Hold on. Let's do this, because again, I mean, we have to try to get ahead of this. It's just not fair to you guys, and it's not fair to us to have to go in and look at each and every PO to try to correct it, because I'm saying this, and I'm passionate about it, is that you can have an order with one style that's 10 cents off, and it's gonna hold, it could hold up $1 million order. And that's what we do not want. So, with that said, let's try to go in at the time before the orders, where's Les is not in here, before the commit period, when you send your commits in, is that what you would call it? And we try to run a report at that time, send it back to you guys for you to verify, what I call customer expected price. And then you confirm that, get it back to Brent and Sheila and myself.
Once you give the customer expected price to the salesperson, they're gonna look at it and say yes or no, or they're gonna fix it with their customer. Then they're gonna put it on the meets competition form. So once you give us that information, we will fix those problems.
Okay,
Because
we'll
what it
just do
comes
it
to,
ahead of time.
yes,
it's just a matter for us, we don't see it until it's already a
until it's a
problem.
problem.
And we're not seeing it until it's closer to the ship window. And then it's holding.
Right, but they might transmit something else.
We don't know what they've transmitted.
You know, why is this PO shipped?
Okay, all right.
One conversation.
Okay, so what we'll do, okay, I get you, mine. Brent, I thought price increase was gonna be there. So, let's do this, and we'll see how it's gonna work. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be foolproof, because we're really exploring here. We'll go in, at the time in which you send the contracts, have the pricing team to run a report by customer, so give it out to the sales team.
Hold on, I gotta run
You guys
something here.
verify it.
Just when you get back up there, you gotta explain the Prime Day thing and why you're cutting out everything so we understand it.
What do you mean?
Saying you can't, on that new Prime Day exception week.
Oh,
Like what?
like it doesn't. I gotta get out of here.
This form is electronic, so you don't have to go in and do all the manual work. Once you key in your style attribute, because we know that style attribute equals price, unique price, then it'll, it'll kind of alleviate some of the work for you. So we
I'm demonstrating.
please be sure to,
Okay. Oops. So, as Bern said, you normally fill out the top, put style and attribute in. You can copy and paste this from something else or type it in, and once you put that in, it will populate the other items. So then all you have to do is put in the proposed price in the units and send it back. Done. Okay? Yeah, there's a lot of extra talking.
It's not a back and forth between you and the customer, though. It's a back and forth between you and Brian. No, that's actually true. That's true.
You like hot dog arrows?
Yes.
You can pull a report with the contract, but then if the EDIs then get transmitted with the incorrect pricing because pricing's not set up, we haven't solved any.
Well, speaking for me, gross wholesale pricing is set up, okay? We've adopted each style, each material been adopted, gross wholesale pricing is set up in SAP right now. Okay, so the only time that you should see a gross wholesale error, I'm not saying it was 100% foolproof, would only be because merchandising decided, okay, we want to change this attribute, that's a new material. So we have to go through the process, okay? Or you have an SMU, special makeup, we have to go through the process. As far as in line, all of fall, winter 20 pricing is set up in the system for your catalog, gross wholesale and retail. Now, with that said, Adams, the new order came, did bring out a good point, that contracts coming through new order will not have the customer expected price. Because of the fact that when it's new order only holds gross wholesale. So therefore, it's not gonna do my team any good to pull that, or because what you're gonna get out of the report, anything coming through new order, you're just gonna get the gross wholesale price. You're not gonna get a customer expected price. So we have to, as a team, figure out how we can get ahead of these customer expected price so that we do not delay your order.
But it sounds like we also need to be realistic about when to expect it.
This is what I think we're gonna have to do, because we're never gonna get perfect from the front end. We're gonna have to go through this repeatedly, and we're gonna go through and run this customer acceptance report on a regular basis. You guys are gonna have a chance to go back to your customers. The problem is not in December or January or February, it's when you get to June and July. That's when it's a problem. So we will make a commitment that we're gonna go through this, and we're gonna have multiple opportunities to scrub it. And we might not get it right the first time, or the second time, but by the third or the fourth time, we should get it right.
And if we can get, what you're saying with the contract is that even if we can put a dent in the contract that are not yet split, that's still not down the road, it's making progress towards the problem you're having right now.
Well, because if we scrub it now, people are still going to be EDIing over the next 6, 8, 10 months. So it's scrubbed now, but every time the forecast is going to write it down.
I mean, Vern's exactly right, we're gonna change the price. Someone, their system is not gonna get updated. We're gonna have to go back multiple times, so this is gonna be an iterative process. And, but the goal is we get to 6/15 start ship, and we're good. We don't have $5 million of price exceptions rolling through every single day. And, that's what we've been dealing with, so it's delaying everything. One other checkpoint along the way that we have the ability to change it, so we'll do it.
Automatically, and so we have to determine a date where it's like, okay, it was $6 yesterday, and tomorrow it's 65. So it's gonna show up in their system, but it's gonna show up in our system as they have the wrong price. They're still allowed to ship it at that lower price.
So, and that's, I mean, you bring up a great point, because I know that, Barry, you have you have that happen a lot with Modell's. When we have a price increase, and madam, I'm gonna put you on the spot, when we have a price change, for example, 6/15 is our effective date for fall winter 20 pricing. At that time, the gross wholesale will go up for jersey and for fleece, right? So you're saying that your customer is continuing to order the basic colors, but and it is gonna kick out. So we have to make a business decision to say, do we accept that or do we cut it off?
pricing effective date.
Yeah.
Before that date should be.
Typically, it's supposed to just say, take your last order, and then if they take the other order, you change the cost in their system.
But it has to be effective.
With 6/15, and then on 5/30, so with all the 6/15 orders pulled forward. Okay, and they want the cheaper price because it's actually before the ship date.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to keep it one conversation, please.
What, Mary, you want to?
I was just talking about 6/15 orders when we have a pull forward. So if there's a price increase on 6/15, but we want to ship those orders on 5/20 because their inventory's there, how does that work? Because they were entering in at the higher price, but they're taking them in before the price increase, probably because we're asking them to, is how we work around that piece.
What we're having to do from an execution perspective is that we're having to get permission to say, okay, we're gonna honor the lower price. And Sheila, she has to go into the system along with the pricing team, and they have to touch each one of those materials to backdate the exception, to make sure you get your discount for the lower price. But that's only, and I want to kind of stress this, that's only if in the event that the business unit decide, okay, we want to bring pricing up. We'll honor it.
But I think the key is gonna be, we are gonna have to do a better job of saying, here's what we think we know. You're gonna need to go back and say, yeah, this is right or it's not right. And we're gonna have to just continue to do this. We can't get to June, July and have this thing fall apart. So we'll continue to work on, we'll probably over-communicating, but I think that's the only way this is gonna work.
How about also with the 518 show that we have? The capsule at the Olympics? Okay, so with the 518, great point. That would only apply to those materials.
They're all unique.
They're all unique. So they're unique and they're not following the same cadence as the regular inline fall winter 20. Yes.
The problem that I have is that, we put these orders in, the orders are in, we're accepting that contract, we have not applied. When you get to
We don't seem to be following an agenda, so.
Independence Day holidays, that's when they're shipping the largest balance of their spring program. So I don't even, they continue to take product from spring up until like week 2 July. Gotta be able to get them through that, and then they really start their fall on that 7/13 ship date. So I have to be able to allow them the spring pricing right on through, let's say July 10th, before I can change them over. And that's just the way it is.
So that's what we've done. With Barry, the commitments we have, we honor. And we have done that.
I got one quick question.
Yes,
Every cost of new order includes VAT, correct?
There's no VAS.
Okay.
You still, hold on, guys, the question was in reference to VAS. You still need to make sure that you communicate your VAS requirements to Tina Schaefer. As far as the cost, Brent, right? There is
Yep.
no charge associated with it, but you still need to make sure you communicate it to Tina Schaefer, because if you do not, if you want something folded and it's supposed to be on, I mean, if you want it hangered and it's supposed to be on, you're getting it folded, whatever, you know. How, you know, every season you need to, and she will send out Yeah, she will send out an email to the team asking, if you have vast requirements, do not forget to let us know. So she's very good about that.
And you also have to let her know for ATS if your customer's taking new styles, because she has to set them up fast by style. So if your customer orders ATS that is not their normal seasonal flow, you need to let Tina know of those new styles, because she won't have them set up properly.
That goes back to, that's what's been kind of told me, is that we want to have accounts on flat discount. So I'm not going through this.
Okay, well, we're talking about that. But
I think he's trying to put them in the same bucket to say, okay, my account. Well, she can do that.
set it up by style.
But I'm saying she can do that for your account. You just have to let her know that unless you have an account that says, I want fleece folded, I want T-shirts hung, it gets a little blurry. You'll need to coordinate that with her, but she can. Yeah. Well,
I think Elisa's point's good, and I want to make sure everybody heard it, and then we'll start moving on to the other things on the agenda. The point was, when you're getting into ATS and styles that were not initially forecast for the season, those do not automatically get the VAS options that you have set up for that account. So VAS is at the style level. So if you end up pulling something in later in the season that wasn't on your initial, you've got to communicate that with Tina Schaefer and the VAS team to make sure the VAS is set up correctly. All right, let's move on. Lots of
Brent, we're gonna speak quickly about
sea life.
and then we'll go to retail marketing. Finally, Christy, thank you for
I'll be
your
quick,
patience.
Christy.
Here, take this. It's strong. It's strong. You just hold it.
Hey, guys. Hello? Whoa. Hey, quick update. So wanted to let you guys know we're adjusting the Sea Life map policy. Historically, we've been no discounting through the entire season. We've kind of listened to our sales partner and listened to our retailers, and we're going to actually make an update that going forward for fall 20 season, we will take map pricing discounts 60 days post the ship date. So this way our,
Maybe on 4 days.
sorry.
So that way, we have big drops every 60 days, so that way when your new drop comes in, like from July to September, then you would have an opportunity for the fashion items to go ahead and initiate that, to make them the new stuff.
Yeah.
Just like 90 days, is that what you're gonna do?
I'm doing 74 days past the ship date, so that's really 60 days past the on 4 date. So the date.
74.
Hey, girl,
It's a,
past the ship date. So if we're shipping on 6/15, we anticipate it to be 7/1 on floor.
Yeah.
By September, you can mark it down. The map price will be loaded for Sea Life tonight or tomorrow. It has it at the attribute level, at the discount, at the map level, so that you can read all the way through for both men's and women's and see what you need to initiate. That said, be
That's
cautious.
from our start ship.
Right, so basically, if it gets on floor in July, we know the next big capsule will be on floor in September. In September, they'll have the opportunity, whatever's left over from the July capsule, the fashion capsule, to start moving through that inventory to make room for new stuff. That doesn't mean buy recklessly. You know, the fashion capsules are still a smart part of the assortment, so the core items will not, have any discount, so.
yeah, so small left chest C, core items, anything that's evergreen and carryover will still be no discounting on that product.
SMUs are gonna be 60 days.
It's too hard to do at the attribute level or at the color level.
SMUs.
We'll talk
SMUs, let's talk about that, but yeah.
about that. SMUs ideally, we need to really be careful about that, and that this shouldn't really be a discount opportunity. These are really, these important capsules, we need to be careful about what we bring in and how we sell it. So, but we can have that conversation about that, we can think about that. We know at some point we have to work through it, right? It's not working, so maybe a case-by-case basis.
Anything, Marion?
No, I think it's 74 days. Is everybody okay with that? 75?
Pass the shit down.
73.5.
Not before 6 a.m.
All right.
So I have the distinct pleasure of following pricing and systems. So I'm really excited to be here. Christy Lamoni. I'm going to talk to you about retail marketing. I just have a couple of slides to review. When we're looking at our priorities for this upcoming year, I would say our first and foremost priority, and I do have handouts. I put them on your desk, but if anybody needs one, raise your hand and John can pass the handouts out. So our first and foremost priority is in-store experience, so signage and fixturing looking into next year. We also do partner with retailers on digital marketing, whether that's email blast, landing pages, online experience. We work closely with our champion store team to do monthly windows and their in-store signage as well. And then other activations and events. So before I get started, this is our team. We grew by one since I last saw you at our last sales meeting. We have John Folk. He is in the back, so raise your hand, John. He came. He's got great experience. He's come from Zoomies as a buying director, so we're really excited to have him as part of the team. And then behind John is Brittany Bandy, who you know, so really this is part of our team. Also, Karen Love was here earlier. We work closely with her in creative services to execute your signage packages. So in-store signage. So why is it important? In-store experience is the number one purchase influence across all occasions, whether somebody's wearing our clothes for everyday casual, working out, or kind of fun physical fitness. So Nikki has done some consumer research this past year, and what we learned is, somebody just happened to walk past the department and it sparked their interest. This is the number one purchase influence. So it's very important that we really bring Champion to life at retail. So some key changes for next year. We're, of course, this past year, we're coming off of the 100 years for the team, so we're updating that signage. And we really want to spark interest via photography. We're adding more product photography options and some core lifestyle images, which I'll show you, incorporating the new Be Your Own Champion tagline. We're also developing, and I was supposed to have a sample, but it didn't make it today, a wooden sign holder, so it can sit on a table or a shelf, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that, something that easily can fit more visuals in your department. And the funding for all the signs that I'm going to be showing you and the sign holder is going to be covered by retail marketing. We just have to work with you on quantities and order timing. So this is going to be the update to our primary brand signage. Again, we're coming off the 100 years for the team. We're adding it's still bold and blue, but we're adding a little red and white in the bottom to tie into the colors of the logo. These are just for a four-way sign and also for a fixture that's longer. We know every retailer has different signage specifications, so we will work with you. We're trying to offer them in the most common signs, but then we'll work with you if your retailer has certain specific measurements. So as a secondary option, we also are adding in some brand signage that has lifestyle photography behind it. And this is really going to be used if the other images that I'm about to show you can't be executed in your retailers. So this is the lifestyle photography that I was mentioning. We are trying to tag onto the brand campaign, Be Your Own Champion, and we picked images that are really evergreen, using core styles that don't really go away. So hopefully you'll have a graphic tee, and retailers will be able to use this imagery in store. So here's two more examples, one of a sports bra and one of a gentleman. And then this is a Sea Life image. But what we also wanted to do... Sorry? When are you planning So we're hoping that if we get the orders in, and I'm going to talk through timing, but we're going to get an order form to you at the next week. And then if we get your orders and a couple weeks later, the end of November, we'll be able to ship them in January. They could live for the year, I mean, or we could, they could live for a couple months and we swap them out with other images. We're trying to give flexibility on what you want to order. So we are offering some product photography as well. Again, this is like core styles that everybody should have. Just a branding moment, kind of bringing the essence of the brand to life, really close up on our champion logo, which is our heritage. So lots of options to choose from. On the right side of this, you can't see it very well, but this is a prototype that we're getting in, and once I get I should get it in the next couple of days. It's going to be a wooden block sign holder. It's actually not going to be white, it's going to be blue with the champion script, so the retailers can easily put in updated signage as time goes on and swap it out. So here's the dates that I mentioned. We're going to publish the order form next week, and then right before Thanksgiving, the order forms will be due back, and then we hope to ship the signage mid-January. Yes. Well, I'll have to follow up on that, actually. Sign holder, yeah. I'll see how many samples they can make, and if worst comes to worst, maybe we could share, yeah. Okay. Yep. I know I'm getting at least one, so. So switching gears, I also wanted to talk about champion shops and fixturing. We recently just redid Macy's Herald Square, both the men's and women's department. So this rendering is based on the men's Herald Square, and we think it turned out really great. So we're really happy with the direction, bringing in a lot of the blue, the basketball court flooring, the neon sign in the back. So all of these pieces will be, are already sourced and ready to order. So a medium format store, you can see the mannequin, there's a ballet bar with the wood clad around it, and in front is a concrete looking, not a concrete, but a concrete looking table to merchandise folded product. And then this is just an example of a smaller format. It's bringing in a locker table, so very heritage sport feel. The next is just our fixture package, so it goes through the different components that we could offer. The one kind of TBD after seeing the presentation yesterday is an accessories fixture, so we need to loop back with the basics buyer to make sure we're offering one accessories fixture. So that, just mark that as TBD. I have that, I think, at the last slide, but I would say a minimum of 12 weeks. Yeah.
In general, is the expectation that we pay for this?
So, good question, and it's coming up. But really, it's a case-by-case basis. We're going to have to work with our key, and I'll just flip ahead for a second. We could discuss, it's really with key accounts that we want to do it because we have a finite budget, probably a top door situation, and we could discuss if we were to offer these fixtures, maybe it could be a space agreement, so it's a part of a larger play. I know we are talking about like getting Under Armour space or Puma space, so if we were able to get more space, then maybe we could fund these agreements and look at it over a couple-year period. So I think it's really something that we have to discuss. So, yeah. And then some of it, depending on how it's ordered, it might hit trade, so we'll definitely have to get Marion involved as well. Okay, so that is it. Is there any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Like, where's the clicker? Thank you. All right. Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Amy Kraut. I work out of the Minneapolis office in retail merchandising. I have two quick things to go over today, and then we're going to break out into our athletic working sessions and our Sea Life working sessions. I want to introduce Bree McSherry and Kelly Fletcher as well in the back. They're part of the retail merchandising team that are here, and they'll help work through some of the product as we get to our breakouts. So, two things I wanted to talk about. The first, will be assortment recommendations. So Matt put a challenge out to my team and I to be a resource for all accounts, for everyone that is working with the retail partner on assortment recommendations. And so this is an example of what we can be reviewing in the breakouts. And what this really highlights is taking each life or athletic segment and breaking it down to say, here's the foundation of your assortment. These are the fundamentals that if you have an opportunity to sell into an account, this has to be in all of your stores. The next tier is if you get more space, if there's another store that is buying into more inventory, here's how you can level up. This is another level of fashion or next level tier of product that we can introduce. And then third, top tier, this is another example of, look, if this is the cream of the crop. If you've got a store that's a really high volume driving store, it's an A store, this is what you can layer onto the assortment. So this is just an example. We have this broken out, athletics versus life. From athletics, we've got sporting goods and department stores. And then obviously for Sea Life, it's a little more complex because we have a lot more segments. So something to work through in the next working session. I also wanted to just touch really quickly on segmentation. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. We've highlighted it a little bit today. I know that Erica, Christy, and Jessica yesterday when we were going through product, we saw everything. Not everything will be available to everyone, but we've made great strides in working through segmentation as a collective team to make some improvements from spring, summer 20 into fall, winter 20. One thing to note, we have moved from a core plus segmentation strategy into just core. That shift has been pretty significant from spring into summer, where we reduced our core plus from 74% to 32% of the total assortment. Specialty, which is another layer, which would be all specialty retailers, increased from 11% to 26%, and then channel focused increased from 15% to 42%. So if you have a key retailer in a specific segment, you'll notice that they have more unique product this season than they have in the past. So again, we can get through those specifics when we get into the working sessions, but I just wanted to highlight the significant strides that were made because we continue to hear about segmentation differentiation as a challenge at our retail partners. So that's all I had for this part, literally taking me 2 minutes, and I think now we're going to break. We'll break. I think there's snacks. Athletics will stay in here. Okay.
Decir sin contestar esa pregunta. ¿Qué es lo que quieres? ¿Qué necesidad es la que tienes para seducirme otra vez, besarme otra vez, volverme a poner el mundo al revés, para besarte como ayer, sentirte otra vez, me vuelves a poner el mundo al revés como ayer. aparecer bajo la luna llena, sirena. Precisamente en Cartagena, déjame revivir, esto es un placer. Baila que la noche es tuya, que el ritmo influya. Ponle picante, que el amor fluya. Nos dimos cuenta que no había un final. Esto no tiene por qué terminar. Lo que sentimos, lo que hicimos. No es casualidad que nos viéramos en la misma disco. Aprovechemos que nos vimos. Lo que sentimos, lo que hicimos. No es casualidad que nos viéramos en la misma disco. Dale mami que nos fuimos. Para seducirme otra vez, besarme otra vez, volverme a poner el mundo al revés. Pa' besarte como ayer, sentirte otra vez, me vuelves a poner el mundo al revés como ayer. Check out, big man. La Z y la L. Let go. J Balvin. Sky. Rompiendo el bajo. Mosty. Un nene. Let go. Infinity Music. Baby Records.
White shirt, now red, my bloody nose sleeping. You're on your tippy toes, creeping around like no one knows. Think you're so criminal. Bruises on both my knees for you. Don't say thank you. Oh, please, I do what I want when I'm wanting to. My soul, so cynical. So you're a tough guy, like you really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy, just always so puff guy. I'm that bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad type, might seduce your dad type. I'm the bad guy. Duh. I'm the bad guy. I like it when you take control, even if you know that you don't own me. I'll let you play the role, I'll be your animal. My mommy likes to sing along with me, but she won't sing this song if she reads all the lyrics. She'll pity the men I know. So you're a tough guy, like you really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy, just always so puff guy. I'm that bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad type, might seduce your dad type. I'm the bad guy. Duh. I'm the bad guy. Duh. I'm only good at being bad. I like when you get mad. I guess I'm pretty glad that you're alone. You said she's scared of me? I mean, I don't see what she sees, but maybe it's 'cause I'm wearing your cologne.
All it takes is one flight. We be in the same time zone. Looking through your timeline. seeing all the rainbows. I got an idea, and I know that it sounds crazy. I just wanna see you. Oh, I gotta ask, do you got plans tonight? I'm a couple 100 miles from Japan, and I was thinking I could fly to your hotel tonight. 'Cause I can't get you off my mind. Can't get you off my mind. Can't get you off my mind. I can't seem to get you off my mind. Let's get lost tonight. Let's get lost tonight. I can't seem to get you off my mind. I can feel the tension. We could cut it with a knife. I know it's more than just a friendship. I can hear you think I'm right, yeah. Do I gotta convince you that you shouldn't fall asleep? It'll only be a couple hours, and I'm about to leave. Do you got plans tonight? I'm a couple 100 miles from Japan, and I was thinking I could fly to your hotel tonight. 'Cause I can't get you off my mind. Can't get you off my mind. Can't get you off my mind. I can't seem to get you off my mind. Let's get lost tonight. Let's get lost tonight. I can't seem to get you off my mind. Do you got plans tonight? I'm a couple 100 miles from Japan, and I was thinking I could fly to your hotel tonight. 'Cause I can't get you off my mind. I can't get you off my mind. Do you got plans tonight, baby? I was hoping I could get lost in your paradise. The only thing I'm thinking about is you and and I can't get you off my mind. Can't get you off my mind. I can't seem to get you off my mind. Yeah. Let's get lost tonight. I can't seem to get you off my mind. Let's get lost tonight. Let's get lost tonight. I can't seem to get you off my mind. Meet me at the London. If you find time, we can run one. Talk about some things we can undo. You just in the pen, I can find you. 6'1" on the money, 9'2". You just say the word and I run through. 2 texts, no reply, that's when I knew. Yeah, circumnavigate the globe as the cash grows. Get a whack like you get the grass mowed. I'm talking slick when I'm with the big slime. Could hit your, you can never hit mine. In my DM, they electric slide. No catfishing, this is not a fish fry. Never switch sides on my dog. Catch a contact, hit your ride, go to Mars. Everybody say, how could you come about your face and say I ain't the artist you'd have never heard? I left off like a rapper's dead and bird. A verse for me is like 11 birds. Just did the math, that's like $2,000 every word. I'm on the purge, I beat the church. I killed some and I walked away from it. Then I observed just how you curved and told them that they gotta wait for it. I know you ain't hot demand. I'm balling on them like you want a man. I'm drowning all inside the like I never swam. Hey, your IG, I put something on your sonogram. I'm the man. Hey. Meet me at the London. If you find time, we can run one. Talk about some things we can undo. You just in the pen, I can find you. 6'1" on the money, 9'2". You just say the word and I run through. 2 texts, no reply, that's when I knew, yeah, I knew. Talk, church talk, I can make a brick walk. Up north, down south, Bankhead to Rachel walk. Hit it with a little water, stretch it like a vocal cord. STD, I run my ward, cause Fed and his daughter. I'ma run a compound, I supply the cigarettes and bread. I got a main and she stopping goes. Yeah, I can charge him like a Dodge and a demon. Got your broad in the garage. Every time I go back to the ward, act like they won't start and we